Hello and welcome to Beyond the Finish Line, the podcast for runners of every pace, every distance and every goal. I am your co-host, Georgia. I am a 5-time marathon runner, a content creator, and I'm currently training for my first ever triathlon. On today's episode, we are doing a Q&A, our final Q&A for the year. We have a bunch of awesome questions from you guys, which we cannot wait to answer. But before we do that, I have to introduce you to our co-host, Matt. Matt is a 5-time Ironman. He is a trail runner, an ultra marathon runner, and he is the owner of the Performance Project, Australia's fastest growing endurance community. How are you going, Matt?
Georgia, you got to start saying co-owner, mate.
I know, but it is, you're the founder. I should say that. You're the founder.
Yeah, I am the founder, yeah. But we are a team.
Founder.
We are business partners in multiple aspects of life, so.
I know, we are. And do you know what? On the weekend, it really kind of hit home to me that we are really business partners, and it makes me feel so happy. So I do love hearing that. And I promise that maybe next year I will be more confident in saying that.
Yeah, I know you've been reluctant.
It is hard putting it out into the universe sometimes, I think, because you sometimes go, oh, I don't know if I deserve that. But yes, 2026 is the year that I will start saying it.
Tell the contractor if you deserve it or not, mate. It's signed.
I know. And on the weekend, we had an awesome meeting about the business, which was really, really cool. And I'm feeling really excited for the year ahead, which is really good.
We're going to fuck some shit up next year.
Yeah, we are. I love that you and I are talking cheese, which everyone on this podcast would very much get to know us very well on this, and they would know that. But when it comes to business, we are both very chalk and cheese as well, which is quite funny. So,
well, I mean, I'm not surprised. I do think that is why we work so well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that is, one of the main reasons why you wanted to work with me and why you chose me to come on as a co-owner. So yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. But yes, I promise next year I will be better at that.
Do you know what I actually just thought of why you're saying next year? What we should have done for this podcast is we should have accumulated all of our favorite questions throughout the year and done like a recap episode.
Oh, that would have been awesome. I love that we think about these things on the pod when it's too late.
Guys, you're a little bit behind the scenes of how much planning Georgia and I do for these episodes.
I think that's what makes them so great though, is that they're not, I've listened to podcasts before when that they've fully have done an entire script and they're like reading off stats and stuff. Yeah. Which, that works for some people, but for us, we don't have time for that. So if we are going to continue making this podcast for you guys, we hope you love it how it is, because it's not changing.
No. If it becomes any more work, it's going away.
Yes, literally, because you and I both are so busy that we're like, this is the time we allocate and this is the time it's going to get.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, we did do a big question box on our Instagram, and we have pulled all of the questions from that. So we're going to ask those today. But before we get into episode 48, Matt, how are you going? What are your highs and lows for the week?
Yeah, I think the biggest high was what we just spoke about in terms of the business. We did like a 2026 plan and sort of 3 to 5 years of like where we want to get to and what we want to achieve. Yeah, both Georgia and I are feeling extremely confident about that, and we've got some really cool stuff that includes Beyond the Finish Line, includes the Performance Project, it includes some other ventures that we want to bring into this ecosystem. Some really cool stuff that we're working on, and I worked really, really hard to like bring all that together and be able to present it, and it went well. And
you did work really hard. I can tell the document was top tier. I'm telling you now, I was very impressed. And then I even got a printout that was like bound and everything, guys. It was really important. So no, it was cool. I agree. The meeting was awesome.
And other high is, I guess, like I officially started like back to triathlon training this week. So the rebuild begins to eventually doing a sub 10-hour Ironman sometime in 2026.
Yeah, very exciting. Very exciting.
And no lows. No lows. Very good. How about you, Georgia?
Highs. I had a really great weekend. We stayed at the Hilton and we had our business meeting, which was really fun. Having a staycation in Sydney was really nice, and it's honestly just what I needed after a couple of weeks of not feeling amazing. But yeah, and then Monday, today's Tuesday, so Monday and Tuesday I managed to get in a run and a swim, so I'm super proud of myself that my energy levels are kind of coming back just been struggling lately with energy, and I've had all my iron checked and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like we're on the up, which is really good. So that's been absolutely amazing. My low, it's one of those things like when this episode comes out, we obviously had the Bondi attack that happened, the terrorist attack, which was really scary, and that has really rocked myself because I live in Sydney. We have Performance Project athletes who live down in Bondi. It was really scary messaging everyone, just checking that they were all okay. Our hearts and condolences go to the Jewish community. I have clients at work who are Jewish, and this has really affected them. Like, of course it would. So I think as on the podcast, we want to, put out that we are thinking of everyone, and this is, it's been really tough on everyone in Australia, everyone around the world, and I just want to make sure everyone's okay. But it's been really hard to deal with. I have friends of all different religions, and so it's been tough, but I just wanted to say that and kind of get that out there because it kind of get it off my chest and make sure everyone's okay. And we're thinking of everyone who was involved either indirectly or directly. So but other than that, no real lows. I'm feeling better training wise. I feel a bit more confident about the triathlon, which is really good. I think it's only up from here in terms of my training. So that's nice to be back out there and running and clearing my head and stuff as well.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, even your energy on the podcast is like noticeably come up over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's funny how I'm not being able to train and just feeling like crook. I've obviously still got a bit of a funny voice, so I'm sorry, guys. But it's definitely my energy slowly coming back, which is awesome. Really good. So but other than that, I think we should probably crack onto these questions because we've got quite a few here, which I'm excited to ask about. The first one that I got in the question box, she actually ended up messaging us because it was a bit of a longer question, but we love questions with context.
Context is great.
Context is great. So this question comes from Jade. Hey guys, love the pod. My question is, I'm going to do Run Melbourne, the half marathon in July, and then a full Melbourne marathon in October. Should I be doing 2 separate training blocks or a bigger training block to cover both? For context, we love that, Jade. I've done a half marathon before and I'm comfortable with the distance. My aim in July is to get faster, but I've not trained or run a full marathon before. Should I just do one big marathon training block and have the July half marathon as part of my training plan?
When's Melbourne? October?
Yes.
The full?
The full is in October. The half is in July.
Yeah. I'd probably be inclined just to treat it as one bigger block personally. The way I would probably structure it is coming into the half, I'd want my long runs to be sort of mid to high 20s. And then I would almost treat it as a bit of a deload. So I would do a lighter training week leading into the half, race the half, have a lighter week coming out. And then sort of that would be the marker of really ramping up marathon training. So I would treat it as one bigger block person. That's probably what I would do with TPP athletes as well.
Do you think that's kind of what I was thinking as well? Because obviously if you kind of stop halfway, you might lose a bit of momentum. It is quite a long time to be training. Is there like a risk of burnout there?
I mean, it depends. I always think if you know what you're going into the training block, like you mentally prepare yourself for it. So you're like, I know this is going to be 5 months of training. Like if you structure, I mean, coming from a buyer side, being a coach, if you have a coach and they structure it well, there shouldn't be burnout. Where people go wrong is where they go gung-ho from the start and they just set off at this unrealistic expectation, pace, cadence of training. And then after 3, 4, 6 weeks, whatever it is, then they burn out. If you just are doing that slow burn, building up, tapering off when you need to, and then building up again, it's not that big of a training block. And depending on the athlete, you can get ready for a half marathon in 8 to 12 weeks, just depending on how experienced you are. So she said she's run a half before. Like a 12-week block would probably be more than enough. You could give yourself a couple of weeks off post-half and then go into the full or like light training. But I wouldn't say it's like this huge block.
Yeah, I guess I think it was 8 or 10 weeks pre-London and then had 3 weeks off and then jumped straight into Sydney training. And then obviously I got my goal time. If Jade's mentioned here that she's wanting to do the half marathon for a PB, does that affect the training at all?
You might just extend the half marathon. It depends on current fitness level, but you might just extend the block out a little bit more, maybe like 16 weeks of training. Or if you're doing like a really good base building block, then you'd be fine. It just depends on like, I guess, the starting point of that block. If she's starting from 0, you sort of want 16 to 18 weeks so you can get a little bit of conditioning in your legs. If you are doing a good base building block and let's say your long run somewhere between 12 and 16, 17 Ks, like you could go into a 12-week block pretty comfortably and as long as it's structured, you'd be fine trying to get a PB off that.
Cool. All right. Awesome answer. That even I found that helpful. I was like, oh, cool. We have a question here from Ben. Can you please explain the free fitness hot weather training that you mentioned in a past episode to me like I'm an 8-year-old? I love that.
It's like an 8-year-old. That's a great way to ask it.
Just really, really, I don't know what the word is.
Dumb it down.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that, but I was like, no.
Yeah.
Yes. For an 8-year-old, how would you explain it?
When you train in the heat, you produce things called like heat shock proteins. You produce a higher blood plasma level. So this is where it's hard to explain blood plasma level to an 8-year-old.
I can see Matt's brain going, how do I make this less nerdy?
Yeah, exactly. So there's when your internal temperature, so your core temperature, gets over a certain heat, and it's different for everyone. Yeah. Your body starts to produce different proteins, like called heat shock proteins. They're very, very common if you're using saunas. That's why like people will use saunas 2 weeks out from a race, for example, or 3 weeks out from a race, trying to increase the heat shock protein. And then blood plasma levels higher. So when blood plasma levels higher, it moves around the body more efficiently. It gets into the muscles differently and increases like your ability to recover and increase cardiovascular fitness increases. That is like probably the easiest way I can explain it.
No, that was perfect. Even I understood that.
Okay, great.
We know it's good, guys, if I understand it. I am smart, but it's just like sometimes it goes over my head. Sorry, guys, it's the end of the year. You got to give us some grace. Madison has asked, how long should I aim my long run to be in my marathon training block? No context at all.
The longest long run?
Yeah. How do you work out how long it should be?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer anywhere from 33 to 36 kilometers, depending on the athlete. And then scaling intensity depending. I really think if you're doing anything under 33, you're setting yourself up to fail. If you're doing, let's say you do 32, you've still got another 10 Ks to go in the marathon race. Like that's a lot. It's literally nearly 25. It's like 23% of the race or something. So it's a lot to be in no man's land.
Yeah.
Like I said, firm believer 33 to 36 and then moderating intensity. So if you're really pushing, going for like a top end time, Georgia knows this session, 3 by 10K at marathon pace, for a total of 36 kilometers. And then if you're maybe a less experienced athlete, but you're still going for a time, doing 33 Ks, maybe like 4 by 7 or 3 by 8. Oh, sorry, 4 by 8. For a total of 33, 34 kilometers, something like that. And then if you are like an absolute beginner on debut, you just want to go from point A to point B without walking, anywhere from 33 to 36, just at a nice consistent upper zone 2, you'll be fine.
Yeah, and the reason why we want to make sure we're running further is obviously we want to make sure our legs are strengthening up. They're getting used to what it feels like to run for that amount of time. Now, some people like to do their long runs like they don't do more than 3.5 hours. Do you want to kind of explain why we don't go off that for the last long run towards in a marathon block? Because sometimes obviously it's different for everyone. Why do we go off a number there, not a time?
yeah, I'd say once you're in a marathon specific block, all of your long runs should really start converting to distance. Midweek runs, you can keep them based on time, but that long run, I'm a firm believer it's got to be on distance, because if Georgia and I both went for a 3.5 hour run, I'm going to run some probably 35 to 38 kilometers, and Georgia's going to run 28 to 32 kilometers. There is just such a discrepancy in different athletes, and based on how long it is going to take you to complete the marathon, 3.5 hours might be a completely irrelevant time. If it's going to take you 5.5 hours to finish it, that's 2 hours that you haven't prepared for. And 2 hours is a long fucking time. Like, I would not want to be out there 2 hours longer than and have no context, my body not know what's going on, not understand what's happening. So I'm a firm believer in, it's like, we want to get somewhere between 33 and 36 kilometers. If that takes 5 hours, and that takes 5 hours, because you're not going to run it any quicker on race day.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just unknown territory for your legs, that all of that lactic acid.
And the mind.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Especially if, you're not used to it, if it's your first marathon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine going for, like, your longest run was a 10K, and then you were like, I'm going to go run a half marathon. Like, you just wouldn't even do that. Like, people, you don't do that jump. And then people are like, oh, I'll run 28 and then jump to 42. You're like, just don't do that to yourself.
Yeah, no, definitely. Those long runs are super important. So making sure you get that time in the legs is, what's going to help you on race day.
Mm-hmm. That was good. That was a good follow-up question, Georgia. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm trying my best to make sure that I'm asking other questions that I think would help alongside the question. Okay, we have a question from Natasha. I'd love to hear about the triathlon sprint you're doing, Georgia. I'm doing one too, and I'm worried about the transitions and the rules. This is a great question, and when I was reading it today, I paraphrased it a little bit just to make it better for pacing, but it is a really good question, because actually these are some of the things I've not thought about for the triathlon. I'm kind of just been thinking about swim, bike, run, get through it, but I actually haven't thought about, how it actually works. If you could run us through that, Matt, that would be super helpful for both myself and Natasha. Sure.
I would say the first thing, like, if you're doing a sprint, they're targeted at beginners. Yes, you'll have people who take quite seriously, obviously, for every race. Once those guys fuck off, like, it's basically 99% beginners. So they're very, very lenient in terms of the rules, and, like, there are marshals there instructing you. So it's like, even if you fuck something up, it's not going to be the end of the world.
Okay, good.
Yeah, like, at the end of the day, Triathlon Australia hosts sprint triathlons and Olympic distance, standard distance, to get more people in the sport, right? So they want to be as encouraging and supportive as possible. So if you make a mistake, they'll explain it and then say, keep going, like, because that's going to make you want to continue.
Okay.
So the rules of triathlon. For the sprint, you don't really have to worry about wetsuits, but based on water temperature, you can choose to wear a wetsuit or not. They will make that very, very clear for you, whether it is wetsuit legal, which is the terminology, or it's not wetsuit legal. For a sprint, chances are no one will wear a wetsuit unless they're a particularly poor swimmer, because it's such a short distance.
Okay.
So start the race, do your swim. It might be a 1 lap or it might be multiple laps. You just got to make sure that you go around the buoys. Buoys are always on if you're swimming out.
On your right side, right?
Yep.
You swim around it clockwise?
It depends. Like, it depends on the course.
Okay.
I don't always swim the same way. What I was going to say was, I lost my train of thought.
Sorry, I do that. I do that to you all the time.
No. Oh, sorry. They'll have 2 different colored buoys. So there'll be a turning buoy and there'll be like a straight on buoy. So let's say if it is yellow and pink, so yellow will mean swim past it, pink will mean turn.
Okay. And how do you know what those mean? Like, will they tell you that when you go to the... Okay.
They'll give you an athlete briefing. Chances are when you sign up, they'll send a PDF with all of that information. And before the swim, especially in the sprint distance, there will be the race marshal, race event leader. They will be like, turn at the pink. My advice to all of my athletes is, unless they're Toby, follow the person in front of you.
And by unless you're Toby, he means because Toby was first. So
yeah, Toby won. Yeah, exactly that.
Oh, dear.
So yeah, and then out of the water, you'll run into what they'll call T1. So
Yeah.
in the sprint, you'll have your bike racked. So either handlebars on a rack or your seat will be on the rack. Next to your bike, you'll have your towel set up. There'll be your bike cleats, your helmet, your sunglasses, everything you need for the bike, and also everything you need for the run. So they'll both be on this one towel. You'll have like a little allotted square.
Mm-hmm.
Put all your gear down, run out of transition. If you've got your wetsuit on, wetsuit off. One key rule, and I don't know how strongly they will enforce it on this. First thing you put on is your helmet. Don't touch your bike. Don't touch anything until your helmet's on. It's just one of those weird triathlon rules.
Love it. Safety first.
Safety first. So you can't touch, like, don't touch your shoes. Don't touch anything. Helmet on first. Then just go through your procedure of getting ready. However, like whether you're wearing socks, whether you're not, calf sleeves, all that stuff, that doesn't matter for beginners. Make sure that all of your stuff stays on the towel. Again, this is a weird triathlon rule, but like if it falls off the towel, if it falls into like the walkway, if it falls into someone else's area, you can get penalized. So you could get like a 1 minute, 2 minute or 5 minute penalty.
Okay.
Chances are it's not relevant for you guys. They'll be pretty lenient. Bike out. You'll wheel your bike. So one hand on the seat. You can put another hand on the handlebar if you like. Run it out of the exit of T1. There'll be marshals there. There'll be what they call a mount line. So you cross the mount line. Anywhere when you cross the mount line, anywhere you can get on your bike and start riding. I would recommend, especially for beginners, go 3, 4, 5 meters up the road and go hug like the railing and get on your bike and just push off from there. People try and get on their bike as soon as they cross the line. Big traffic jam. It's just a disaster.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. We'll rip through the rest pretty quick. Start riding. You can only litter, like so for gels or drink bottles, for example, you can only litter at aid stations. So there'll be a mark 10 meters before, 10 meters after, depending on the race, could be further. That's like the litter zone. So you can drop bottles. There are people there, volunteers, pick them up. You can also obviously grab stuff from aid stations.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you probably won't have a drafting rule, so you don't need to worry about that. But if there is a drafting rule, it's 12 meters. Again, they're not going to be super stringent on that.
Yeah.
You look like you've got a question.
I do.
Yeah, go for it.
What's drafting?
Okay, that's a great question. So,
sorry, I've literally only ridden around the park, so I'm like, I don't know what that is.
That's fine. So that's a great question. So drafting is when there's a rider in front of you and you tuck in behind them and you're riding too close, you get aerodynamic benefits. So you can actually push like 20 or 30% less power and do the same speed.
Oh, okay. So you've got to be 12 meters behind them.
Correct. I don't know what your ruling will be, whether it be sprint legal or not. Draft legal or not. Again, they'll make that very clear. Cool. Coming back into transition. Overtaking, just obviously on the right-hand side and then come back in. If there is drafting, it is the rider you overtake's role to drop back. You don't have to get 12 meters in front. As soon as you're in front, you can pull in. It's his job or her job to pull back.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. Yep.
Cool. So coming back to T1. So now it's the same spot, but when you finish the bike, it changes its name to T2. So transition 2. The same mount line that you crossed, you need to be off your bike before you cross that line. So you want to get off your bike, again, slowing down with plenty of time, unclip from your pedals, hop off the bike a good 2 or 3 meters before, and then just walk it across and then run into T2. Rack your bike back up in the same spot. Once your bike's up, helmet, do all the things, change your shoes, and then you're out. And then running it's just a running race, so there's no real rule changes with that.
Cool. So my question on the aid stations on the bike, they're on the left? Or both sides?
No, they'll be on the left.
Okay. And like, obviously, I feel so dumb asking this. No dumb questions. So you're pulling up to the aid station. Do you like slow down or you have to like stop or like what's the deal with grabbing stuff? Is it bottles? Is it cups? What's at the aid stations?
It's very race dependent in terms of what it is, but normally there'll be bottles that fit your bottle cage. Do you not have a bottle cage?
No, I do. You saw it. You gave me my bike. So, okay, so they actually give you a bottle, so you don't have to pack your own.
They're like cheap Kmart bottles. I would start your bike with at least a bottle of like some form of carb drink. But yeah, um, depending on the experience of the athlete. So like for me, for example, we slow down a little bit, but we're still fucking moving. And like most of especially in Ironman, most of the volunteers, they kind of get a vibe of like who's coming through, and like they'll actually jog alongside you and hand it to you.
Okay.
For less experienced athletes, I would recommend like slowing right down. Not so much that you start to get the wobbles, but slow down a bit, and then they will still jog alongside you, but just makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah.
Like when we hand off bottles, it's like a big slap, and you like really got to grab it. That's why you see heaps of pros dropping bottles, because it's just so quick. Alternatively, you can come to a complete stop and just do it if you're not comfortable. Not comfortable doing a handover like that. People in Ironman do that all the time. They'll stop, take whatever they need, and then just start their ride again. So there's no right or wrong. It's just where you're comfortable.
Yeah, and I guess for the 20Ks in a sprint, you might not even need it if you're not comfortable doing it.
If you take a bottle or two on the sprint plus some gels, you'd be right as rain.
Yeah, I was going to say I could do 20 around the park, and I'd only need my bottle on my bike. So maybe, Natasha, maybe I'm probably just going to take my own bottle so that I can completely avoid aid stations altogether, because that sounds really stressful. But it does sound really nice. Don't get me wrong. They sound like lovely people. This community is like lovely. At a marathon, you're like fighting people, and you're like, like trying to grab cups, and you're stepping on stuff.
Yeah.
I know, totally different. My other question is, when you do the swim, does everyone start at the same time, or is it kind of mostly staggered?
Again, depends on how many people and like what the organization is. Some are a mass start, and then again, if you're a newer swimmer, a newer triathlete, just go at the back. Like everyone at the back will be in the same boat as you, because they're nervous, anxious. They don't want to get in that fight. I would also recommend starting on an edge, like a wider edge.
Yes.
So if you look out and the buoy is in front of you and you've got to turn right, I would go far left. And then if you've got to turn left, I'd go far right, just because everyone's going to be fighting for that inside line. You're going to get swum over. That's not enjoyable. To answer your question about the start, there is either a mass start, or they'll let 2 to 3 athletes go every 3 to 5 seconds, just depending on how many athletes there are. So there's 2 different options.
Cool. I will definitely be choosing the outside lane.
I'll be there. I'll walk you through it all, mate. Don't worry.
I know you will. But yeah, I also, my coach Ant, part of the performance project, he also suggested to me that when I'm swimming around the buoy, just to stick to the left a little bit further and not swim right on it, so that you're not getting kicked and stuff, because usually on that turn is where you kind of can get kicked.
Yeah, it just depends on how many people, and there's a whole bunch of different things to assess before that. But in principle, yes.
He's like, uh-oh. No, he knew that I was nervous about being kicked. He's like, look, just take the outside. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
It helped my confidence.
That's fine.
I think that's kind of it. And then you just run over the finish line, and then you grab your medal, and then just go back to transition and grab your stuff.
Yeah. Depending on when you finish, transition might be quote unquote closed, because they do have security and stuff set up so people don't steal bikes, etc.
Yes.
Like you've got to have your wristband with your number on. It's got to match the sticker on your bike, all the things. But yeah, once they open it, they'll make that very clear, and you'll be able to go get it.
Cool. Oh, one last question. Do you have to wear cleats on the bike, or can you wear just regular runners?
You can just wear runners.
Okay, cool. Might save your transition, not having to take shoes off. That's one thing.
I mean, you'd be way slower on the bike, but yeah.
Yeah, I know. Nervous with
if you're
cleats.
a beginner and you can't ride with cleats, just ride with joggers. It's fine.
Okay, cool. Someone out there might want to know that. All right, moving on. Question from Lauren. I've had a few niggles this year, and I'm scared to push the pace again. How do you rebuild confidence after an injury without having to hold yourself back?
It depends what the injury is, but
let's just use, like, hypothetically, say Lauren's had a stress fracture. I feel like that would be quite anxiety inducing, getting back there and having the same problem again. How would you deal with that?
Yeah. So first is, like, obviously you need a structured return to run program, which is we're actually doing with one of our athletes at the moment, Cameron, where he's running for a very, very short period of time, matched with a walk. Then build that out till he's able to do a certain amount of consistent running. It sounds like Lauren's a little bit further along than a return to sport. So I would say if you're nervous about intensity, because she said pace,
Yeah.
I would encourage you to do a lot of, I want to say, like really build your aerobic volume up. Don't worry about any sort of tempo, VO2, anything. I would just build up the volume and prove to yourself that, hey, I can run 50, 60, 80 Ks a week, whatever that is, whatever is a lot of volume for you. And then once you've done that for a couple of weeks and your body hasn't broken down, I would then regress the volume and start to slowly implement some intensity. So that could be some 1 minute intervals, some 30-second intervals, 30-second hill reps, for example, both positive and negatively charged hill reps. That's how and then I would slowly build up the intensity, and then I would start playing with intensity and volume simultaneously. So that's how I would do it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I think it just takes building your confidence back up. You just kind of got to get back out there and rip off the Band-Aid and yeah.
Well, yeah, volume is the confidence builder because it shows your body that, hey, I can do a large amount of running with no injury. And then you're like, cool, I'm actually going to do less running, but then start bringing up the intensity. So they should sort of work together.
Yeah, love it. Perfect. Question from Jason. Hey guys, do I have to do a 70.3 triathlon before I do a full Ironman? Or do you think a few regular triathlons are sufficient? My friends are all doing an Ironman soon and I'm getting FOMO.
I mean, my first triathlon was an Ironman.
Yeah, there you go. We have some people at the Performance Project who are doing their first triathlon as an Ironman.
Yeah.
And so for anyone who doesn't know, a 70.3 is a quote-unquote half Ironman.
Mm-hmm. Correct. 1.9 swim, 90K bike, half marathon, so 21.1.
Yes.
So it's like 70.3 miles.
Okay, so short answer is no, you don't have to.
Don't have to. It again depends on the type of athlete you are. If you're like I would really encourage people to do a 70.3 beforehand.
Yeah.
Unless you kind of get off on the whole just chucking yourself in the deep end and fucking going for it.
Do hard shit, yeah.
Do hard shit, yeah. Like, I get that for sure. It just depends what tickles your fancy. Like, if you're wanting to go for a time, you're going to perform way better having done multiple half Ironmans before you do a full. If you're just going to be a one and done ticket off the bucket list, then it's fine.
Okay, perfect. It's a very good question, Jason, because I'm sure there's lots of people out there who think the same thing.
All the time.
Especially
get every
with the
week.
FOMO. Yeah. And we had this conversation on the weekend because my Nick is doing the sprint triathlon as well with us.
Doing Ironman Western Australia?
And everyone was trying to encourage him to do the full Ironman. And I was saying, what would you do? And he's just like, I'd have to do a 70.3 first, but he's got to get through the sprint first.
I'm just going to bully him.
I know, you're very well known for that. I swear, guys, Matt's actually a really nice person. He doesn't actually bully us.
I'm just, once I set my mind on something, that's it. Like, it's going to happen. So just stop fighting it.
No one say no to Matt because he's told us a few stories in the past where saying no has not worked. It's worked in his favour, but the other person not so much.
Yeah, very rarely do I not get what I want.
Dale has said, hey guys, love the podcast. I'm a few months into consistent training and I'm not sure how to tell if I'm actually getting fitter or if I'm just getting better at suffering through the hard sessions. How do you know the difference? That's a great question. Oh, I got the giggles now.
I'm so sorry, Dale, because every time I hear the name Dale, I just think of Dale Kerrigan from The Castle.
Oh, a great movie.
A great movie, but I just can't not see it, and he's just like asking all these ridiculous questions.
Well, Dale, apologies.
Sorry, Dale, it's not a reflection on you or your intelligence.
Not at all, not at all. So how do we tell if he's actually getting fitter or just getting better at suffering through?
I mean, I think getting better at suffering is an indicator of fitness, because if you're not fit, you can't suffer. It's like once you hit your level of suffering, you are done. So yeah. I would say that's a fitness indicator in and of itself. But we sort of spoke about this. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. We were talking about one of my athletes, Jordan. And was like, you just got to look at different metrics. So I think a lot of people just look at pace and distance and go, okay, I can run 10 kilometers at 5-minute pace, and now I can run 11 kilometers at 5-minute pace. Therefore, I am getting fitter. And I'm like, well, I don't know if that is the best metric for judging fitness. So I'd look at duration of session. I would look at heart rate. I would look at HRV. I'd look at your ability to recover. I would look at your ability to back sessions up. If all of those are trending upwards and trending in the right way, there's like a multitude of different metrics you could use to measure fitness. It just depends on where you're at in the training block and what you value.
Yeah, I think, the tough sessions are what build that mental toughness as well. And,
And mental toughness is a type of fitness.
Totally. And it's so important for endurance sports. So even just regular stuff, like, when you go from starting to run and I can't get through a kilometer, and then you hit that first kilometer and you're like, okay, I can push through. That toughness and, being able to endure those harder sessions and stuff, I definitely think is a metric for being fitter.
Yeah, 100%. So, Dale, I would just encourage you to look at all the metrics, not just pace and heart rate or pace and distance, for example, like the big ones. I would look at some other denominators.
Cool. Thank you so much, Dale, for your question. Ruben has said, hey, Matt and Georgia, love the pod. I hear a lot about time-based training being better than distance-based training. Is that actually true, and who does it work best for?
Georgia, you can answer this.
I can answer this. I was going to say before, when we were chatting about the marathon stuff and time-based training versus distance-based training with that.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of this question, I'm just going to say there's obviously no context. So if you're a beginner runner, time-based training and distance-based training, I'm just trying to put this into words. You're so good at articulating this. Okay, so if you're just starting out and your program says 30 minutes, I think it's a lot different than, like, as Matt said, like if I'm going out for a 30-minute run, that could be a 10K run for me, or that could be a 5K run. Whereas, like, for my husband, Nick, a 30-minute will be either that's 5K or it could be less. And if you're just trying to learn how to run, I think time-based training is important when you're building up fitness. But then when you're actually training for something, when it's a distance, and I'm probably just repeating what Matt's just said, but when you're trying to do a half marathon and stuff like that, if you're continually just going by time, it's kind of hard to know what the time is going to be for you. So, like, a half marathon could be 2 hours for you, but it also could be 3 hours. So if you're only going off time, it's very hard to gauge that. I can't put it into words what I'm thinking, but
I mean, yeah,
you're much better at this than me.
Well, I do it for a living.
I know.
The basic premise is you're on the money. So beginner runners or base building block, for example, we'd use time, because time is a very, very easy metric to measure. So it is also a great governor for fatigue. So if I just tell, let's say, Georgia week 1 of training, I say, go out for an hour's run, and Georgia does 10Ks. And then 6 weeks later, and say Georgia's done 6 weeks of really, really hard training, I go out for an hour's run, and she does 8.5Ks. That's her body telling me, like, she's super tired. But we haven't said you've got to go run 10, because if we had told you to run 10, it would have taken you hour 20, hour 30, and all of a sudden we've put even more fatigue into your body. So it's a great governor for keeping newer athletes fresh, and athletes in a base building block from overshooting. So if we've got an experienced athlete who just loves to run, it's actually saying, hey, you're only going to run for 2 hours and you're going to stay within these parameters. Like, it actually sort of works on the opposite end of them going too hard. When we talk about distance, it's about specificity. So we only convert to distance when we're really focusing on a specific goal, whether that's 5K through to probably an ultra marathon, 5K through to the full marathon. And then it's just a relevancy thing. So it's like Georgia said, if it's going to take you 3 hours to run a half marathon, then we need to make sure that you are accumulating that 15 to 18 to 21 kilometers in your long runs leading up to it. If we just tell you to run for time, then who knows where you're going to finish. If you're more fatigued, you might not get the volume we need. So that's where it's like really, really important that we're specific. When we're doing a specific distance, the training must be specific. When we're doing base building, we can have a little bit of variance.
Yeah, so I guess there's a time and a place for time
Mm-hmm.
versus distance training. Is there one that's better than the other, or is it just completely, again, time and place?
I would say the only argument I would make is if you're a really dialed, advanced athlete, then you could just run just off time. If you know how your body feels, if you know like your HRV, if you know all of those internal metrics and you're able to sort of judge that, and you know if I go for a 1 hour run, I know it's going to be 10 Ks on the dot, and my heart rate will be this, then I could say, yeah, you could run just based off time. But that's a very, very rare athlete, I would say, for when we talk about the general population.
Yeah, you definitely have to know what your times are for things like a half marathon, a full marathon, what your 10K takes you. Because, if you're training for a marathon, you're like, I already know it takes me, 3:56. You're like, okay, well, I want to make sure that I'm running, 3 hours or something because that's going to be the right amount of distance. But again, you're still really working off distance.
There's still a lot of guesswork.
You're just kind of backtracking and making sure the time adds up. But yeah. It is a good, I do like both. I like having time and also some distance stuff because sometimes it is nice to just be like, okay, I'm going out for a 10K instead of being like, oh, it's 45, but it's in zone 2, so I'm not quite sure how long that'll be. It is sometimes nice to be like, okay, I can map it out in my head where it's going to be.
And it also depends on, from a coaching perspective, it does depend on the athlete in terms of like what they respond to. Some athletes like want to know, it's like, hey, it's 8 kilometers and I'm going to go do 8 kilometers. Some athletes are like, oh, it's actually nice just to have a 40-minute zone 2 run and whatever I do. Like, so type A, type B personalities as well.
Yeah, I quite enjoy knowing the distance. And I know when I first started with you, Matt, I'd be like, but how long is that? How far? How far is that? Is that 17K? Because
however far you go.
Yeah. And I'd kind of like to mentally know, I'm going to be running X amount this week. So I can understand that fully.
Yeah. And then also like it helps freshen athletes up because sometimes they've run for time for 8, 10, 12 weeks and basically like, oh, cool. We're switching the distance. It's like, it's a different mental trigger. So again, just depends on how athletes process information.
Yeah, I like that. It's a different mental trigger because, if you are just running every Monday a 10K and then you're like, go and run for an hour, I'd be like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And then you realize it's just a 10K.
Yeah, no, it is. Well, towards the kind of, middle of my last training block, I would know that my hour on a Monday was, around 9K because I was in zone 2, and then my 90-minute one was always like 13K because I was in like a zone 2. So you do kind of just end up working it out anyway.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Question from Chantel. Hey guys, quick question. Sometimes my heart rate is really high, but the pace feels super easy. And the other times my pace drops, but my heart rate stays low. Which one should I be trusting more when I'm training?
What do you think, Georgia?
I knew you'd say that. And I read the question, but I mentally didn't read the question. I was reading words, not listening to myself.
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes my heart rate is really high, but the pace feels easy. Okay. The other times my pace drops, but my heart rate stays low. Okay. Which one? I mean, I feel like it's different for every session you do because if your heart rate's really high, but it feels easy, it's kind of like, oh, no, that makes no sense though.
Yeah.
Because your heart rate wouldn't feel high and easy because when you drop your pace and your heart rate stays low, it should be like really easy. Yeah,
I would say like this athlete probably hasn't done enough zone 2 training to actually know what easy is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of athletes who haven't done like good base building just kind of like that question we had previously about suffering. Like they're just really good at suffering in a certain range, and it might be like top of zone 3, bottom of zone 4, and they can just sit there forever and they're like, oh, this is easy. But it's like they don't know what easy is.
Yeah, I've experienced that definitely where you don't realize you're actually not running easy.
Yeah,
I think
like when you first started, you would run in zone 4 all the time, and you're like, this is great. Like, I could do this all day. I'm like, no, you can't.
No, honestly, how I survived my first marathon training block, literally
Mm.
not doing any zone training. I was in zone 4 the entire time, guys. Horrendous. So, yeah, so like, what do I do if my heart rate's high, but the pace feels easy, vice versa? Yeah, it kind of was one of those things I had to wrap my head around a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's.
So, and the second tier level of this question is, let's assume that they have done aerobic training. Let's assume they're a conditioned athlete. Heart rate is the ultimate lie detector. So I always tell my athletes this. I'm like, they're like, this was so easy. I get it all the time, even from experienced athletes. This run was so easy, and I go, your heart rate was 176. It's like, who's
it was
lying?
not easy.
Your heart rate does not lie. So it's like, if your heart rate is high, like, it is, number one, it's not easy. But number two, is trying to tell you something. It's like, maybe you didn't recover well. Maybe you've had too much caffeine. Maybe you're very stressed. Like, all of these different factors can accumulate to heart rate. So maybe the effort doesn't feel particularly hard physically from a physiological standpoint, but your heart rate is saying, yo, like, this is too much stress. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. As I like that you said that, you know, your heart rate doesn't lie. And so if you're feeling like it's super easy, check your heart rate, because maybe it's too high and you're like, actually, I could be really dropping it back and taking it a lot easier. I did that on my run yesterday. I had a heart rate window that I had to stick to, and I was running like 620 per kilometer, and my heart rate was really high, and I was like, Georgia, that's not the pace you should be running for an easy run. So I had to keep reminding myself to slow down, or I just like stopped and walked, because I was like, I need to bring my heart rate down, because this is not an easy run. This is a mid-tier run.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, and that's it. My heart rate was not lying. It was like 158, and I was like, that's not my easy run.
Yeah. And like, your heart rate or your heart only has one objective. It's like to keep you alive. So if it's telling you that you're working hard, it's going, hey dude, I'm trying to save you. Like, dial it down.
Chill the fuck out.
Yeah, legit.
Okay, this is our last question. It's from Jody. Hey team, I love the podcast so much. Is it okay to train purely for the enjoyment, community, and consistency, even if everyone around you seems super focused on PBs and performance? How do you balance that mentally?
I would say, and I really like this question, Jody is going to be one of those runners who is a lifetime runner, while all of the people around her will not be.
I love that.
If you're running for community, if you're running for the process, if you're running just because you love running, that's all that matters. Like, the PBs will take care of themselves. If you just stack enough consistency, do it day in, day out, enjoy the process, you'll be good as gold. Is the people, and when we spoke about this, I think in our dark side episode, all the people who are just chasing PBs and PB, and just trying to up it, they're the ones getting stress fractures. They're the ones who can't handle the volume. They're the ones who just burn out and then go to a different sport. So, and then they just repeat that process in a different sport. So, Jody, I would say that you are on the right track, and I would encourage athletes to almost exclusively follow your example.
I really like this question as well. And when it was when Jody asked the question, I was like, that's actually making me kind of think about myself and my own running. That's my kind of big goal for next year, is kind of making sure I'm running for the joy of it again, you know, running for the community, which is, you know, like you guys, running for the fact that I'm getting out there, just getting out and running and being consistent and doing all those things. Because for a while there, I was super caught up in getting PBs, and, you know, you'd see stuff online about people being like, oh, I've got to do another marathon because everyone else is doing 2 to 3 marathons a year, and you get caught up in it. So I think everyone should bring it back down to the basics and just get out there and be part of a run club and go do park run for fun on a Saturday and do all of those kinds of things. Because, yeah, there's so much noise out there that we do all get caught in PBs. And, yeah, maybe I am just jumping to triathlon because I want to try something new and get a new time and do all these really crazy things, when I could just be getting back to what I love doing, which is just running. So I love that. I love your answer too, Matt. That was really awesome.
Yeah, I think you can replace running with any sport. As long as you enjoy the process and you're doing it for you, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's a real thinker. It's going to make me think about things for a while.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love when we get questions like that like challenge the norm.
Yeah, for sure. Challenge the norm, even like for yourself, you like sit there and go, okay, I'm going to reflect on my own things that I'm
Mm.
doing. So I think, that's been such a great question that I think everyone who is listening to this, maybe take 5 minutes, sit and think about it. What is your reason why? Like go back to our episode where we talked about, finding your why. Why are you running? Are you doing it for fun, for the consistency, for the community, or are you out there just chasing PBs? Because maybe you need to reflect on that as well as what like we do.
We've covered some topics this year. Bloody hell. We've got a friggin'
We
answer for everything.
we really do. And I don't mind sometimes when we repeat questions because I think sometimes you and I both learn and grow and, you might have an athlete come on board who has gone through an experience that you haven't had before with an athlete. So it's cool to see our answers grow and, yeah, it'd be awesome to listen back to, the episodes and see the questions as they evolve across all of them. But it would have been a good idea to write down some of the questions we've had in the past.
Yeah. I will say just on that, Georgia, and for everyone listening, if our answers do change and develop, like they are allowed to when we get new information, I think there's, especially as a coach, and like I always try and say this when I remember to, I speak in generalities for the majority of people because I'm giving advice to so many people in so many different walks of life. If I said something in episode 5 and then my answer is different today or different in 3 months' time, that is allowed. Like, just take everything. And same with Georgia. Like, if her position or something changes, like, we are allowed to do that based on new information and growing and developing as humans.
Yeah, for sure. And like your opinions can change as well. That's
Of course,
okay. Yeah. You could have one opinion one day and the next day be like, actually, I don't think I agree with myself on that. And it is super important to re-say that because, I think even just yourself, Matt, as a coach, you've gone from the start of the year having, not a huge amount of athletes to having the end of the year where there's a lot of athletes as part of the performance project and, you're all different walks of life are coming through the business. And so it's nice to, have different answers and stuff. And I think people would want you to develop as a coach as well. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
If your opinion was the same this entire year, I'd be a little bit worried that you're not growing as a human as well.
I mean, yeah, it's a fair point. It goes both ways for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Guys, like if you ever have questions, like feel free to ask us, or if, we answered your question at the start of the year and you want to re-ask it and see if we come up with the same answer, like feel free to do that as well, where our inbox is always open. We love answering your questions. It's honestly, these episodes are my favorite episodes to do.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, although like not that we're really having a break or anything like that, but it's kind of like I'm a bit sad that it's our last one for the year. It's kind of weird wrapping things up like that.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll be back like I said, we're not having a break, but January will be here before you know it.
I know, gosh, it's crazy. I still can't believe we're on episode 48 when we were so excited at the start of the year to get to 10.
Yeah. And guys, remember, we're trying to get 50 episodes, 50K, and I think we've just crossed 48,000 total downloads, so we're ahead of schedule, but please share it with your friends, do all the things.
Yeah, I was going to say, give us an update on the stats there because I was thinking about that this afternoon. There's this episode to go live and then 2 more.
Yeah, we're at 47,814.
All right, guys, you know what you got to do.
Help us get to 50 and 50.
50 and 50. Matt, what's the week ahead look like for you? What do you got on?
Honestly, just getting back into triathlon training and because we're so far ahead with Performance Project in terms of planning and stuff, I'm already starting on 2026. And actually, we've got we're onboarding another coach, which is huge. And then we'll probably open up, actually, we definitely will. And Beyond the Finish Line listeners will get the exclusive. We'll open up probably 10 to 12 more one-on-one coaching spots. So if you guys want to start working on your running goals, working on your triathlon goals, our big races, Gold Coast Marathon, Sydney Marathon, Ironman WA, we're going to open up 10 to 12 spots, and we won't make that public until January. But for Beyond the Finish Line listeners, if you want to get in now before the whole New Year, New Me rush, I'd really recommend it because I guarantee you we will hit capacity within the first week of January for sure. So if you guys want to get in now.
Yeah, it's crazy how like our capacity has changed now that we've brought on some coaches and stuff, but it's just wild to me still that we have so many athletes. And hear me say we there, Matt. We have so many athletes.
Yeah. We will we'll have 3 full-time coaches and a head of community.
That's me.
That's Georgia, in case you guys are wondering. Like in January. So like that's wild considering at the start of the year it was just me and I would do it like 2 days a week.
Yeah. And look, head of community sounds totally made up, but the biggest part, I think personally, the biggest part of the performance project is actually our community side.
Our community rocks.
It's really cool. We had some awesome stuff happen on the weekend. We had some girls down in Melbourne doing high rocks. And they met for the first time. They were both part of the community. They knew each other from the group chat, but they went and supported each other at their races, which was so special. And they sent us a message just saying like how awesome the community is that they get to be a part of. It feels like a little bit of an exclusive little club where you get to chat to people and yeah, it's really cool.
I think it's so cool that you can just be like, I'm going to Melbourne High Rocks. Who else is going? And then just people go ding, 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 and they meet up, have a coffee, train together, cheer each other on. I think Meg stayed with Belle for like 6 hours or something and watched all of her races or whatever it worked out. And now they're like best mates.
Yeah.
They never met each other before. You guys, it's not just coaching, like the community is such a huge part. And I actually think it is like, it's the hidden gem of the performance project for sure.
It's the most important part, I think.
Well, Georgia, there's a reason.
That is my whole thing.
Georgia was literally my first hire of the business because that's how much I valued the community side of it. And I was like, Georgia is the person to do it. So if you want to experience Georgia's community, my coaching, it's honestly a match made in heaven, guys.
Yeah. I know. And I do I'm running all the run clubs and stuff like that. I make sure the group chat, everyone's chatting, you know, people are putting in races they want to sign up for. And like, even the triathlon that I'm doing, I had kind of said, actually, no, one of the athletes messaged me and he was like, hey, I'm doing this sprint tri. I'm going to nudge you. Do you want to do it? And then I signed up and then a few other people signed up and then my husband signed up.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like that. Everyone kind of jumps in and heaps of people coming to support us too, which is really cool.
And if there's like a rogue event you want to do, you put it in the group chat and there'll be some crazy lunatic and be like, yeah, I'm down. For sure.
Literally today that was happening in the Ironman chat.
Yeah, the Ironman chat was getting wild.
Stupidly a part of. Sometimes I'm like, why am I here? But
step into my web.
Yes, literally. But speaking of community, guys, I did see a DM today which made me giggle. Someone was like, I'm waiting for merch for the podcast, which I love. So maybe 2026 we should do a bit of a Beyond the Finish Line merch. Let's
run a poll.
Oh, I'm going to forget, but I will try my best. Let's run a poll and we'll do, what do you reckon, Matt? Hats, t-shirts? What are you feeling?
For sure a t-shirt.
I think a t-shirt's really cool because then we can wear it on the pod.
Yeah.
I'm not wearing a hat on the pod and I already have like 50 hats. So
yeah.
I think we'll do a poll on a t-shirt, guys, and kind of maybe we'll come up with some designs and you guys can decide. And we'll make them available to you guys and make it a bit exclusive. Yeah, I saw, there's some cool merch out there, but who doesn't love a good t-shirt?
Yeah. Mate, we kind of, it's cool because we kind of got autonomy to do whatever we want. We're not like, we don't have to be loyal to anything or any sponsors or anything other than the performance project. It's in the show notes.
Is it?
One-on-one coaching.
Oh, guys, look, I was trying to push this episode out to an hour for you because we know how much you guys love 1 hour episodes, but I don't think we can talk anymore. You want to stop hearing us. So
guys, I've also got to get this edited and out in about less than 10 hours. So this is what you're getting.
And you know what? I'm hungry.
Yeah, me too. I'm starving.
Make sure you head over to Instagram and follow us at BeyondTheFinishLine_pod. Head to wherever you get your podcasts and make sure you like, subscribe, download, leave a review and send this to your friend. We'll be so grateful. This has been episode 48 of Beyond the Finish Line. Thank you so much for listening.
Hooroo.
Bye.